Social Security is part of a whole group of programs which are called entitlement programs. And entitlement is the austerity vultures have tried to turn entitlement into a very nasty kind of word. But it actually has a legal meaning. And an entitlement program is a program which, no matter how many people qualify for that program, there must be enough money sent into it to be able to serve all those people. So an entitlement program, by its very definition, is unlimited. And this is why entitlement programs have been under such attack for decades, under both Republicans and Democrats. And we saw this again and again under Obama. There was various kinds of attacks on various entitlement programs. And so we're talking not only Social Security, but we're talking Medicaid, we're talking Medicare, we're talking food stamps, a whole variety of different entitlement programs. And so I think that part of what we want to talk about isn't just Social Security, but it's entitlement programs as a whole. I think that, particularly in the last few years, people have been able to see that we've been drifting more and more toward war, and I'm not talking about regional kinds of wars. I'm talking about actual full-scale wars with Russia and China. This obviously would be a cataclysmic type of thing, extremely expensive, something where you would not be able to have any kind of social services whatsoever. And I think that that's where we're going toward. So both the Republicans and the Democrats have been attacking entitlement programs for decades. I wrote a book, I read a paper called Kinder General Privatization of Social Security is Still Privatization. And this was written in 2008, before, just as Obama was starting to become a candidate. And you could tell even back then who his advisors were. He was a darling of the Hamilton Foundation, which was founded by Robert Rubin. So what we're going to need is a very, very strong streets up activism to be able to protect all of these entitlement programs. So looking over your the suggestions for Social Security that was done in June 2015, they're all great. Extend Social Security tax to cover all income. So this means not only scrapping the cap on $127,000, but it means including unearned income, dividends, interest. So that's obvious. Raise the benefits and lower the eligibility age. Yes. People, our standard of living has dropped so much for the working class that people are actually living less long. Our life expectancy is starting to go down. This is a very serious business. So yes, we absolutely need to that.
In America.
In America, yeah. Cost of living adjustments that are realistic. One of Obama's big attacks against Social Security is trying to change the formula for cost of living increases, requiring employers in all sectors to provide pensions, specifically defined benefit pensions, not defined contribution pensions. It turns out there's been some research that shows that employers would be able to provide defined benefit pensions for about half the cost of an equivalent amount of money for retirees through 401ks. But they want to spend that money distributing it around to the financial sector. And that has to be gotten rid of. No replacement of Social Security by any kind of individual or privatized plans. You remember in 2005, Bush tried to do that, and there was tremendous pushback. Now they've realized that that wasn't a very cool way to do that, and it has to be done more gradually. And Obama and Pelosi, by the way, were involved in plans to try to do this in a more gradual kind of way. Their way was to propose that everybody has 401 type plans on top of Social Security. So the idea was that you would cut Social Security benefits more and more, and depend on these 401k plans more and more. So this last one, all Treasury notes must be paid. This gets to something, this gets to the whole lockbox question. Social Security, as we know, has its own trust fund. And the question is, what are you going to do with that money? We don't want to put it into the stock market. We can't sew it into a big mattress. It has to go somewhere. And so it's invested in bonds for the Federal Reserve bonds. So it's invested into the rest of the United States government. Now, and if you look on the Social Security website, you can see every month what bonds matured and what their rate of interest was, and what new bonds have been bought. So the Social Security Trust Fund is a real thing, and it's really invested in government bonds. So, but the problem is that the government itself, not social government, has pissed away all its money in these wars and these tax breaks and bailing out the auto companies and the banks. And so it's not able to pay this money back. And that's really what the crisis of Social Security is about, is the fact that the government has pissed away the money that we've put into it that's supposed to be used to develop, train a new generation of workers, of scientists, of educators. So this economy, which capitalism is supposed to grow, hasn't, and it can't. Capitalism is not capable of doing that. And so what's happened now is that the chickens have come home to roost, and this capitalist economy can't pay this money back to Social Security. So, I mean, our position is it must be paid back. And if this breaks the system, if this breaks the back of capitalism too fucking bad, we need to age with dignity.